Morning folks, just getting around to doing something with the second Mec1. The other one is on the videos where I've played around with the little DC electric motor as a dynamo with the clockwork motors and the other Mec1. This one's slightly better condition than the other one. It's a little bit, I don't know how can you describe that, sort of frosty on the top, just a little bit, but no serious damage. I have oiled it up, and I did give the boiler a flush with water, but only water some, well, what are we now, July? Probably a couple of months ago now, not long after I bought it from Meccano Mec1 at Ironbridge. Anyway, I've had a look in the boiler. It is rather furred up, and I'm just about to give the second flush that you've seen me do before. The principles are all the same. I am using some of the tips as were given after the SR1 video, but it's a bit scuffed on the paintwork underneath, as probably is expected, but overall not too bad condition. So the plan is to just finish off cleaning the boiler out, finish off putting up the workshop tools what I'm doing, and having a little bit of fun with one of the tools, and hopefully we'll see if this one will drive 6 workshop tools. Afternoon everyone. I've been of late putting this workshop together. Purchased a piece of wood. This is this craft foam that I've been using on some of the videos if I've been running something on a baking tray, really, just to stop it rattling a bit. It's not exactly fireproof. It is pretty whiteproof, fairly cheap. I got it from the range, but I say any sort of craft shop will do it. Various colours available. I actually bought it to pack up an engine for my nephew at Christmas. The maroon Mammoth 040 engine. SL3 I think. Anyway, the line shaft and this press, this polisher and this grinder and this hammer all came with a bit of a job lot, if you can call it that, or a collection, with one of the SEs. I can't remember which one it was now. I think it was the SE2. The other two hammer tools, this hammer and this press at the back, I've had for some years. I can't remember. I think I had this one first, and I think I bought that new sometime, I think, late 80s. It's not long after I bought me SP1, so probably talk about 87, something like that. This hammer I picked up sometime after that, for I think a £5 or somewhere. There ain't much difference to any of them, of course. What's nice that the line shaft, which was a surprise to be honest, is the same diameter. The shaft itself is the same diameter as Meccano. And what I have done to run all 6 tools is added a couple of small pulleys. These are the 1/2 inch Meccano pulleys there. I put new O-rings on all those, so the spring belts, spring drive belts, will have a chance of gripping, although the thinnest ones I've got on the end ones there are a bit too thick really, but we'll see how we go. I haven't put any O-rings on the polisher or grinder. Again, we're going to try that, see how we get on. The only other difference really, well, 2 differences to the tools. I say 2. I can't think what the one was now. Oh well. But the one, which is a good thing, this hammer, this second hand one that I bought, got all painted pulley, perhaps slightly smaller than that one, but it's also got an oil hole there, which is very handy for oiling, putting light oil in. This one hasn't gone on, which is a bit of a shame. And I'm thinking, although it is a bit of a guess really, that I don't know, that's probably older. But then again, they tend to make cost cutting, don't they, when the newer they get on. But anyway, right, nice handy oil. You can see the oil coming out there. Nice handy oil filler there. I could have sworn one of the bases on one of them was the other way around, but obviously not. But there we go, seeing things. So it took me a bit of an effort to get screws locally, round head screws, short enough and small enough to fit here. Tried all the usual places. Eventually Wilco, unfortunately. I could have done with some a little bit longer and a little bit shorter, but they're 1-inch ones, they do the job. And to protect the bases, because I've got loads of O-rings, although unfortunately not all the same size or the right size, these are a little bit big on most of them. I've doubled them up to reduce the length of the screws into the wood and to protect the bases. The foam actually is very grippy because it just moulds to shape as soon as you just slightly clamp down, if that's the right phrase. So they don't move too much anyway. There's only 2 in each base. I've checked and checked and checked to see if everything's lined up, and they all seem to run freely. I've got to oil the line shaft. Everything's been oiled. This polisher didn't spring very well at all, so I took it apart, and it was a little bit grubby, a bit pitted, so a bit of emery cloth, then I polished it and then oiled it, and it runs quite nicely now. But there's very little weight on the polishers themselves, a bit wonky mine, so that really I suppose doesn't help to the spinning, whereas a little bit of extra weight on the grinder spins very well. That just wanted a bit of a wipe over and oil. They've all been oiled, mainly at this stage to test the Mec1, which I'm almost ready to mount now. So we'll get on with that and see if the Mec1 will drive all 6. It'd be nice to get another tool to fit in there. I could probably just about find space for on the line shaft. And to just have something different, get a couple of slightly knocked about polishers and grinders and have a polisher on the one side and a grinder on the other, just to be slightly different. Right folks, there you can see on the one hammer the small oil hole. But if we move over to the one behind it, you see there's no hole on that one. I've never read anything about whether there's holes or not. To be honest, I ain't gone looking for them, but the ones I've seen that haven't got an hole in, maybe somebody's put one in, which is not a bad idea really anyway. As you can see folks, I've put some of the drive bands on, which I've had to make up out of several ones in some cases. 1 or 2 I've had to shorten from standard length, but others I've joined them and then cut them down to fit. As you can see, there's absolutely no way that standard length's going to fit across there. These 2 were standard ones just cut down. That was 2. Just about got away with 2 of that one joined together. And this is 2 but cut down. But I've only got 1 left. I cut the wrong end off the one as well. So at the moment I'm going to pop out in a bit to get some more, but it's not all secure yet exactly, but as you can see, if I come round the other side and turn the flywheel on the line shaft, I think one of the belts needs shortening a little bit more really, looking at it on this one here. I don't know, it just seems a little slack, but it seems to be working, so unless it slips I shall leave it. But as you can see, that's 4 out the 6 running, and there's very little in the way of load on that drive shaft. I'm glad that these brass pulleys are gripping. I tried it with something else, I can't think what it was now. It may have been a Meccano pulley I was using at the time for something, and that was slipping. But they are quite wide grooves, V-grooves, on the Meccano pulleys compared to the small Mammoth ones, so you're not really utilising what on the Meccano one you're only using like the base of the belt to grip, whereas on these narrower ones using the base and the side, so I suppose more or less 3/4 of the diameter of the belt's being utilised for gripping there, but obviously on here not. Anyway, as I said before, I put O-rings on all of them anyway, which is in a way, especially the Meccano pulleys, it gives you a little bit more adjustment as well, because instead of the belt just sitting in the middle without a O-ring on, you can actually fit it to one side or the other of the O-ring. So anyway, it seems to be alright then. I can't see a Mec1 having any problems driving 4, and to be honest I can't see it having any problems driving 6. The nice thing is that you get a nice sort of an even beat occasionally with the hammers. The one being smaller, and the belt's been put on differently. The one wheel smaller alters the ratio. That one, of course, that will run slightly faster than the other one. And occasionally they'll hit together. Look, there's one, there's the back one. There's one again, there's the back one. Front, back, front, almost together. And then, so that'll be a bit different, it won't be all the same. It would be nice to have something a little different, but that's where Meccano comes in for later workshops. So I'm now off out to get some more drive bands. I was going to go to Mammoth, but I'm due there end of the week if my order's ready. And as the train shop's only a couple of miles up the road, we're going to have a look at it, see what he's got there. Right folks, unfortunately the only drive bands they got at the train shop were already joined ones, so the chances of getting something that would fit I thought was pretty slim. So we've come to a bit of a stuck on that for the moment. I could give the factory a ring in the morning. Anyway, so for the time being I thought I'll I don't know, elaborate, tart up if you like, the piece of wood. And I've got these old girder strips, Meccano girder strips. This one isn't too bad. The one on the one end looks like it's been in a barbecue at one time in its life. These have been repainted, a bit bent, and the far one is a little, shall we say, skewy. There's actually 2 splits in that one, so I thought I'd utilise them on this. I'm doing nothing with them at the moment. Dug out some screws from the cupboard, managed to find something that's just about big enough if I put a little O-ring at the back as a washer, just to tart it up. I might even put some sort of structure around it when it's done. Anyway, this end, some tin foil here. The Mec1 will go on that. You can just see in the picture there. And this end will be, I think, I ain't got enough green to complete all the way around, so this will be left open, and any engine I want to try out, new or old, we'll put it in place of the Mec1. So that's all it is for the moment. I'll try and get some drive bands shortly. Other than that, it'll have to be the web, I suppose. Evening all on a fantastic summer evening for once. As you can see, the shall we say cobbled together, well, perhaps a little bit better than that, workshop tools are all in place now. It took a while because I wanted to get a bit bigger order for a few bit more bits and bobs before just ordering like the split drive bands. They're all in place. I think they're all okay. One is a little bit slack really, but it's gripping alright. They all, yeah, seems okay. This is the slightly better condition of the Mec1s, and this is really a test bed, test board if you like, really. It also gives the workshop tools a run out, a couple of which I've had for years. The rest I've had, I think I said earlier, in a job lot with another engine, including the line shaft. So everything's just about been done. We've got hot water in the boiler. I'll just put the safety valve in and check it first. Yep, it moves okay. We've got hot water in the boiler. The mess is ready in the burner. A very new, hardly used burner by the looks of it. All oiling's been done on the engine, the crankshaft, the line shaft, and all the tools. So we'll just wait for that to get pressure up, and we'll see how we get on. It shouldn't be too long. The plan is, well, say plan, if and when you might say, on this board, very much as I say, a test board if you like, for engines that don't do a lot other than sit on the shelf, hopefully not for a lot, 12, 14 plus maybe 20 years, some of them, as I said before. This is only held down by 6 drawing pins because it's a very much a temporary setup. I've said before somewhere, the idea is to use this Mec1 as the power, and indeed most of the chassis and frames, for a LNER style J70 tram engine. One of the members has made one on the forum from scratch, very good model. You'll find that in the train and railways bit. That is a very nice model, and it would be something similar, but obviously nowhere near to scale like that. Gauge 1 as well, I think, just to allow more room to play with the drive. And anyway, for this board itself, either Meccano or a couple of other line shafts, we're going to add 1 or 2, and then put a couple of, probably 1 tool there, another couple down there maybe. And just adapt it as necessary to use other engines, other different stationary engines, and indeed mobiles as well. So that's the rough outline plan. I've got this on a bit of aluminium foil to protect the base, this foam stuff, a little bit. Not that it's probably doing a lot. Could not get any tin foil for love nor money. So we'll just wait for pressure to get up. We're getting very near now, so we're going to give it a try. Very smooth anyway. Not quite there, but it does seem to be driving. All 6 models, 2 hammers, not running exactly in time, which will help the running of all the models. So you'll only have it occasionally where both hammers are lifting at the same time. 2 presses, a grinder, and a polisher. Perhaps should have put a bit more foil down there, but this is pretty good white clean stuff, and it's cheap anyway. Oh dear, we heard a band come on. That one surprised me actually, because this is perhaps just a fraction too tight really. At least I think it's this one. Try again. This is the very first run. I have put new O-rings on the pulleys, except for the main flywheel. There did seem to be some on the original Mammoth pulleys, or the remains of, which is why I've put new ones on. But a bit too fat really, and as they're a little bit narrower, the groove, probably not needed really, but they are, well they have been in the past needed on the wider Meccano pulleys. There's that ½ inch there and there's another ½ inch on the other side. The shaft diameter is the same diameter as Meccano on this line shaft. I dare say later ones are fatter, which means on this you can alter it with Meccano pulleys as you see fit. Those of you who don't know, which is probably none of you lot I suppose, the hammers effectively have got a bent drive shaft, which means they will only rotate one way to lock up the other way if you run the engine in the opposite direction. As you can see, the two longer drive bands that are both driving, or one each driving the presses. That one's slightly too slack, and this one is slightly too tight, I would say. It's not jumping off, and it's working quite well, as long as they stay on. I must admit to cutting off the wrong end on one of the belts. There's the two hammers. As you can see, the one with a smaller flywheel, obviously running, well, seems almost about twice as fast. But it is being run off, you can't see on here, but it is being run off the pulley the same size as that, which is probably, I don't know, 3/4 inch at a guess. The Meccano pulley there is 1/2 inch. So the ratio is being closer on that one, but still, you know, you can see the band's slightly slag, it's still got enough drive, no problem at all there. There's the grinder nearest the camera and the polisher. I think I said earlier I had trouble with, I forget which one now, and not spinning very freely. The one shaft a little bit, well, not quite pitted, but it was grubby. Bit of emery cloth, fine emery cloth. Bit of polish, bit of lube, adjust it correctly, allowing a bit of play, and they run fine. The main problem with the polisher, there's no weight in the actual polishing mops, which doesn't help really. Even though the grinder has smaller wheels, they are quite a bit heavier and thus act as flywheels. And there's the two presses where you can just see the cams working the vertical rods up and down. There's the Mec1, which what this was put together for initially, ran excellently. I have done as suggested. Now I've got some, added a couple of washers, one each end to the line shaft. Drop of oil, of course. And that's the burner just run out of fuel. So there we are, folks. I'll cobble together a video, which obviously, if it works, you'll be seeing by now, and we'll get on to the next item on the list. Bye for now.